Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a freaking fantastic weekend, but here in this video, we do need to go over all of your data, specifically with AMC stock, what the situation looks like as far as the data is concerned. And I think what you guys are going to like out of this video is we're going to also talk about when I think AMC stock is going to start doing better, okay? I think there is a clear catalyst for AMC to start doing better. Now, is this going to be the MOAS-like event? Is this going to be anything that's a huge event for AMC? It could be. Don't count on it, but it could be. So I want to go over that with you guys as well. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. So first things first, I want to give you guys a brief overview of what the data looks like here for AMC stock. If you guys have not seen the last video, watch the last video that was put out here on the channel. It's why AMC may announce a stock split this year. That is the headline article that is coming out here on the newswire for AMC stock over this weekend. Yeah, that wouldn't exactly be a great situation. So you definitely want to check that video out if you have not already. But let's start here with the Ortex data. As I shared in the last video, or one of the last videos, the short interest for AMC stock is rising pretty exponentially. Back to start 2024, you were at about 7% short interest. Today, you're double that. You're at 14.25% short interest. Now, I do believe to some degree you've had more shorting activity in 2024. A very easy trade has just been short AMC. There's going to be more dilution. The stock's going to continue to fall. That has been a very easy trade in 2024. Now, I don't know how long that inevitably will work for. We'll talk about it here in just a moment, but you've definitely seen the stock get more quote-unquote squeezy. Now, I think the short interest is hundreds of percents. I don't think the shorts have ever covered on their short positions. They've had no reason to cover on their short positions. They've just been shorting the stock and continuing to short the stock into essentially the ground. Now, Adam Aaron, AMC, they've made some very questionable decisions as well. So it's not just the short sellers' fault. I would short AMC too if I was on the other side of this, just judging off of what Adam Aaron has done so far. I mean, like, come on, dude. You gotta be like, I don't want to start insulting people, but it's just not the most intelligent decisions that they have made. I think I gave them too much of the benefit of the doubt that they were going to, do the right things, but apparently that has not happened yet. We'll see if that does happen, if Adam Aaron really wants to turn this ship around, or if he wants to be the captain that sent the ship down. We'll see. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. You do have $157 million currently in short positions. Days to cover sitting at 2.6 days. 37.37 million shares that are currently sold short. Shares out on loan, 53.69 million. Cost to borrow, 1.12%. Utilization of 69.31% and a short score of 69.8 out of 100. You do have cost to borrow fees sitting at about 6% as well. So nothing too crazy, but definitely continuing to see a lot of shorting activity. Now, on Friday, for Friday's expiration, you did have calls for open interest of 69.15%. Put open interest at 30.85%. So 2 times as many calls than puts. Fantastic. Okay, that was great. And you usually do see something like that, 2 to 5 times more calls than puts for any given week. Again, the reason why people continue to get burned on AMC options is we just don't get any good news. Like, the good news is far and few in between for AMC these days. And it's like the management team of AMC, they don't even try to give you good news. They don't even try anymore. They've basically capitulated and said it is what it is. AMC is going to do what AMC does. We're just going to dilute shareholders. We're not even going to try to get AMC stock higher, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, considering 2026, they're going to have big problems on their hand when that debt wall comes due. But we talked about that a little bit more in the video that came out earlier today. Nonetheless, option activity For Friday in AMC, you had 5 orders totaling about $83,000 with a positive order value of 22%. So hedge funds and institutions were pretty dang bearish on Friday in AMC options. But if you look at the last week, you have seen 12 orders totaling $841,000 with a positive order value of 80%. So hedge funds and institutions over the course of the last week were actually pretty dang bullish in AMC. 80% is a very high bullish ratio for hedge funds and institutions. Definitely got to give AMC credit for that one. They're starting to drive in a little bit more bullish flows from hedge funds and institutions, despite what we've seen on Friday. Now, stock twits. This is a pretty good gauge for measuring retail sentiment in AMC, or really just in any other stock, right? Any other equity. You have AMC's sentiment, the headline number, at 56. Yesterday was at 54. So that's pretty impressive that sentiment is going higher over the weekend. Typically, not a lot of people talk about stocks over the weekend. It's kind of it's the off time for the markets. So if you're watching this video, shout out to you. Now, message volume today is at 58. Yesterday was at 60. Both days categorized as high, but, being down 2 points from yesterday, pretty common, again, considering it is a weekend. Today is Saturday. So I expect to see lower message activity, but it's still pretty similar to yesterday. So not a whole lot has changed there. Now, the participation ratio is at 54 today. So, more in the normal zone for AMC, so nothing has really changed there all too much. Now, the Stocko Tracker data for AMC, we do have, by this week's expiration, about 3,600 calls currently in the money, 43,000 calls out the money. In the money puts at about 4,400, out the money puts at about 20,000, and some odd change there. So not a huge week upcoming for option activity, but not a super slow week either. So kind of a medium week, if you will, medium rare week for AMC. If we take a look at the latest AI investor sentiment and how people are feeling out there in the markets, the bears definitely picked up last week. Now, this survey was on Thursday. We'll see how things come in next Thursday. We do have some data coming for this week, like personal spending and PCE. I believe we have a couple other, smaller data points as well, but people definitely got a little bit more bearish last week. Following Powell, though, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because Powell went full bull. Powell is basically like, hey, if there is any reason to cut rates, we're going to start cutting like crazy and we're not going to look back. We don't care about this recent spike in inflation we've seen to start 2024. We think it's just going to continue to come down, kind of on trend to what it was doing before. That's the overall kind of feel that I got from Powell. He's just waiting to cut rates, and maybe he's, actually expecting some kind of weakness in the economy. At least that's what it seemed like to me. So bears are at 27.2%. That is up from 21.9% the prior week. So that's a big jump in bears. Now, neutral investors went down from 32.2% to 29.6%. So that dropped almost 3 percentage points there. And bullish investors dropped a little bit from 45.9% to 43.2%. So you're starting to see the neutral investors fall a little bit, which is interesting. But you're seeing the bears picking up a little bit as well. So pretty fascinating. I think we'll have to wait and see how this shakes out over the next week. But following Powell, markets are still pricing in 3 rate cuts in 2024. The first one coming in June. Now, if the inflation that we've seen for the first 2 months of 2024, if that reading comes in really good this upcoming week for PCE, you could get the Fed talking about cutting rates by May. If the Fed really wants to cut rates 3 times, they would probably do that in May, June, and July, because you don't want to be cutting right before the election. That just looks very political, and the Fed wants to regain their kind of neutral status. They don't want to seem like they are influenced by politics, so they're probably not going to cut in September either way. So, November, December definitely could see some cuts as well. So if you do start to get some weakness here, you could expect cuts even in May. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's a possibility. Most people are shooting for June, and theoretically, if we do get the first cut in June, it's going to be June, July, and then November 7th, the day after the election, when we do get cuts from Powell. But then again, if inflation does really start to ramp up, we may only get 1 or 2 cuts, because I think a lot of people forgot to look maybe at this side of the dot plot that was showing you the range. So the dovish Fed officials for 2024 got a lot more hawkish, right? The lowest dot back in December was 3.9%. So one Fed official expected Fed funds rates to be 3.9% by the end of 2024. Now the lowest dot is 4.4%. So you were really on the cusp of, pricing in only 2 rate cuts instead of 3. It was very close. 1 or 2 dots being different would have changed the outcome for 2024's projection, but that's what the market's like. The market's kind of disregarded the fact we're going to get less cuts in 2025 and less cuts in 2026. And even the neutral rate was raised from 2.5 to 2.6%. People didn't even care. They wrote that off, and they were just happy about the 3 cuts in 2024. Does that turn out to be a bearish thing for the markets? I don't know, but that's the next part of this video. When can you expect AMC stock to do a little bit better? It's when we start to actually get some rate cuts. Now, like I said, Powell, it seems like to me, he wants a reason to start cutting rates. If he gets a reason, if he does get a bad jobs report or does get some weak economic data somewhere, that will give him the reason that he is looking for at this point to start cutting rates. And you could be looking at 50 basis point rate cuts, not just 0.25% rate cuts. Now, if the Fed were to go that aggressive with cutting rates, that would be seen as maybe a warning sign to the markets, and maybe the markets would freak out a little bit. There's always the possibility of that. But coming in June, or right around June, you should start to see AMC performing a little bit better. Your small cap stocks start performing a little bit better as well. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. I do think if any time we do get a commitment from Adam Aron not to dilute shareholders, AMC stock is likely to rally to that 100-day moving average. You got to get above that 50-day moving average first, currently at $4.36 per share. You get above that to the upside, and you likely run to that 100-day moving average at $5.81 per share. Above that is anyone's game. Anyone can, make a theory on that. But I think we got to get above that 50-day moving average first, and then that 100-day moving average next. But I do think the next move for AMC is likely higher unless something just breaks in the economy and, recession fears come about in the marketplace. Or AMC, dilute shareholders. That's always a possibility too. I won't put that past AMC at all. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.